Roughly 3 weeks ago, on Tuesday the 27th of June, the new version of the official JavaScript language standard EcmaScript 2023, or just ES2023 for short, was released. And this year's release, in my perspective, went somewhat under the radar with no major headlines to comment on its arrival. Perhaps this was due to the absence of any special features that developers had been eagerly awaiting. Nevertheless, ES2023 promises to be a very exciting addition as it takes a few first steps into a specific and pretty interesting direction. In this video, we dive into the specifics of what's new and the directions being taken. So without further ado, hello and welcome to a new episode of our Developers Dictionary. Firstly, it's crucial to understand that JavaScript, or more accurately EcmaScript, gets a new version every year in June, a trend that has been consistent since 2015. To grasp what transformations have taken place in prior language editions, I'd like to highly recommend two videos to you. The first one offers a comprehensive overview of all the features introduced from EcmaScript 2016 through to EcmaScript 2021, and you can find this video linked in the info card above, but please note that this video is only available in German. The second video then exclusively addresses the updates to EcmaScript 2022, documenting changes unique to that specific version. So if you're looking for a broad overview, start with the video just mentioned, and if you simply want to refresh your understanding of last year's enhancements, the 2022 video would serve as a perfect starting point. And of course, you can find that video in the info card up here as well, but again, it's only available in German. Last but not least, for those relatively new to JavaScript, our channel features a comprehensive introduction as well as some deep dives into various special topics about JavaScript, TypeScript and beyond, but I think it's best if you explore these resources yourself. Now, without further ado, let's dive into EcmaScript 2023. And this new version unveils a total of 4 new features. We'll skim over the first 2 as they are somewhat boring and they do not even require any code examples for explanation. And the excitement is then probably growing with the third and especially the 4th feature. So what's the first one? Well, we're looking at the so-called Hashbang grammar. A hashbang is this somewhat peculiar line occasionally observed at the very beginning of scripts. It defines the interpreter with which the script should be executed, typically consisting of a hash and an exclamation mark followed by something such as user, bin and node, indicating the script should be run with node. The appealing, or rather convenient aspect here is that you can then execute such a script directly just like a binary, provided the executable flag is set. However, it's not strictly JavaScript syntax as it isn't, strictly speaking, JavaScript code. Until now, the expectation has been that JavaScript runtime environments would somehow manage it. If all else fails, the line is simply ignored. However, there hasn't been a formal standard to manage it until now. And this changes with EcmaScript 2023, where this syntax is now recognized as valid JavaScript syntax, and it's now standardized how runtime environments such as Node.js, Dino, Bun, various web browsers and so on will interpret this line in the future. In essence, for you as a developer, probably nothing is going to change, but the key takeaway is that a standardized approach to managing this line has been established. While it's convenient, admittedly, it's not the most exciting feature. Feature number 2 is a bit more interesting, although it caters to a rather niche use case and likely won't cause a lot of excitement given its rarity of requirement. Since EcmaScript 2015, we've had what are known as WeakMaps, basically similar to a dictionary that contains key value pairs. Until now, you needed to use an object as a key for a WeakMap, and as of EcmaScript 2023, you can also utilize a symbol as a key. That pretty much sums up feature number 2. As mentioned, it's not very exciting unless you have a very unusual special case. The third feature, however, ramps up the excitement. Arrays have been granted 1 or rather 2 new functions to locate entries within them. Previously, if you sought to determine whether an array contained a value meeting a specific criterion, you could employ the find method. It simply returned the first value aligning with the specified criterion. Similarly, findIndex was available, returning not the value itself, but logically the index of the first value that met the specified criterion. But from time to time, you're not interested in the first value or its index, but rather the last value in the array that fulfills the criterion, or again, its index. And to locate this last value used to be quite laborious. A relatively common, albeit inelegant approach was to first reverse the array using the reverse method, then call find or findIndex, and subsequently restore the original order of the array by executing reverse again. And this was of course tedious, clumsy, prone to errors, and thankfully it's now becoming significantly more straightforward because EcmaScript 2023 introduces two new functions, findLast and findLastIndex. They operate exactly as you would intuitively expect. They function in the same way as find and findIndex, but they search the array not from front to back, but from back to front. And this might not be something you'll employ frequently, but when you do need it, it could prove to be an incredibly useful tool, simplifying your coding life a lot. Yeah, and this brings us to feature number 4, the feature that I personally believe to be the most significant one by quite a margin. But before I dive into my explanation, let's first introduce the feature. Once again, the focus is on new functions for arrays. Now, alongside the classic functions reverse, sort, and splice, we now have their new counterparts toReversed, toSorted, and toSpliced. And these new functions carry a minor yet critical distinction from their traditional versions. Previously, when you, for example, reversed an array with reverse, it did not spawn a new copy of the array, but instead modified the existing one in place. Consequently, you inevitably altered the original data, whether you intended to or not. The same principle applied to sort and splice. Invoking these functions consistently resulted in the underlying array being modified in place. And the new functions, toReversed, toSorted, and toSpliced, differ from this approach. They leave the original array untouched and instead return a modified copy. This marks a significant stride towards better utilizing arrays as immutable data structures. And again, while these functions might not be needed on a daily basis, when you do require them, their utility is invaluable. Moreover, complementing this focus on immutable arrays is a new function named with. This function takes an existing array, swaps a single value at a specified index, and crucially returns a new array with this swapped value rather than modifying the existing array. The with function thus aligns with this emerging trend, and the question then arises, when or why would one need this, and what are the advantages or the disadvantages of these new functions? I'd personally argue that it parallels the general use case of immutable data types. They are exceptionally handy when, for instance, you need to efficiently detect changes in a complex data type, like an array. Immutable data types are a valuable asset with technologies such as React standing to benefit immensely from them. However, due to the necessity to replicate the entire array each time, immutable data structures are not the fastest, and they significantly increase memory consumption due to the constant copying. As such, you must consider what is more crucial: efficient change detection or memory requirements and the general performance of array access. Well, and those are the 4 new features of EcmaScript 2023. The Hashbang grammar, symbols as keys for WeakMaps, findLast and findLastIndex functions for arrays, and lastly the toReversed, toSorted, toSpliced, and with functions for immutable arrays. So overall, it's a relatively modest update that, as mentioned in the beginning, probably won't make waves for most people. Despite this, I believe it's crucial to review these developments at least once a year to stay up to date. Taking baby steps each year is much easier than playing catch up after several years. And naturally, I'm keen to hear your perspective on this. What are your thoughts on the new features of EcmaScript 2023? Are there elements you've been eagerly anticipating, or do you see it more as a nice-to-have release? Please share your opinions, your thoughts, your general feedback, and so on in the comments below. And finally, all we can do besides that is wait and see what 2024 will bring, whether it will be a little bit more spectacular or interesting. There's certainly quite some room left for further enhancement in JavaScript. Well, and having said that, I wish you a great start into your new week. I hope you found value in today's video, and if so, feel free to share it with your colleagues. And all that's left for me to say is, as always, take good care of yourselves, stay healthy, and until next time, have a nice day and bye.